Good evening, friends. Welcome to Positively Godfrey Daniels, live from 4th Street. We're moving into springtime and warmer weather, and we're also moving closer to the pandemic. So, here at Godfrey's, we decided that it's time to bring our live streams into Godfrey Daniels, and so we're hosting from our stage with this series. And as you can see, I'm sure the quilt behind me is recognizable to many of you. The quilt was designed and made and gifted to Godfrey Daniels about 30 years ago by our good friend Brenda Brown. And in the quilt, a bit of trivia, Brenda stitched the music from John Gorka's song, That's How Legends Were Made, which he was inspired to write back in his early years in the 1970s here at Godfrey. So we have a very special guest with us this evening, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Grammy-nominated artist, and we'd like for you to help us make him feel welcome, Mr. Thomm Jutz. Hey, Thomm. Good to see you.
Hello. Let me put those headphones back on so I can
There
hear
you are. Okay. So welcome. We're
Thank
so happy
you.
to have you here,
Good to be here.
and we're looking forward to your music this evening. I'm going to let you get started, and we'll have that short break in the middle where we'll chat a little bit. So
Sounds
we're
good.
ready. Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank
See you in a
you.
bit.
Well, I said I'm glad to be here, but I'm not really sure where I'm at. I'm here and there at the same time. So, hello everybody. I'm glad to be there and here, and glad to be playing music for you. So let me take these headphones off and we'll get going. I'm going to play a bunch of stuff for you today that I haven't played out yet, and some of it is talking about, a lot of it is talking about railroads, and I don't know why. It's just something that I've been writing about a lot recently. So I'd like to start with one called Old Railroads. I wrote this with Tammy Rogers of the Steel Drivers, and it's the first song that we ever wrote together. We wrote this in 2016, and it's still one of my favorite songs that we wrote together. It's called Old Railroads. I've been thinking about old railroads running through Virginia in the rain, the pistons and the steam, I've seen them in my dreams. My mind's been stuck on those old trains. Ride, let me ride. Everybody lining up for miles to see Abe Lincoln's coffin roll on by, dignified and slow. They watched that engine roll. It must have been a wonder to behold. Ride, let me ride. I've been thinking about old railroads. I don't really know how to explain. I'm about to board a plane that ain't near the same. My mind's been stuck on those old trains. Ride, let me ride. Ooh, ride, let me ride. Ooh. Old Railroads, written with Tammy Rogers. I wish I could see you guys, but I can't. So I'll just imagine you there. I just talked to Ramona and Jason, who's kind enough to help us out on sound and video. I just learned that you guys are in the town where Jesus was born, in Bethlehem. That's wonderful. I like that. I want to come visit because Nazareth is just, as I just learned, 20 minutes away or 20 miles away. I can't remember. And that's where the Martin Guitar Factory is. I don't need to tell you that, but I need to tour that factory because God knows I've given enough money to those people. I deserve a tour, I think, and I want a free one. And so get ready for me to come up there. I want to get there as soon as I can. I really haven't gone anywhere since March 15, 2020. So right now I'm here at in my house, 30 miles east of Nashville in Mount Juliet, and it's on a small peninsula in Percy Priest Lake. And it's a beautiful place to live, and it made it bearable to be, not be able to go somewhere. So anyway, long story short, you guys probably have been in the same situation that you couldn't go anywhere. So talking about disasters like this pandemic, let's talk about another one, the flood of 2010 that we had here in Nashville 11 years ago. It's a huge flood. The Cumberland River rose about 40 feet, came all the way up to the middle of Lower Broadway, and lots of people lost their homes. And but the city also came together. A lot of people started helping each other out, just showed up at houses that were flooded, and people helped other folks knock out drywall and all that kind of stuff. And it was nice to see that people were still willing and able to do that. And I thought to myself after a couple of years, why don't I write a song about the flood of 2010? People used to write songs about train wrecks and storms and murders and all that, and we don't do that anymore for some reason. And so I wrote this with my pals Charlie Steffel and John Weisberger, and it's about the flood of 2010 here in Nashville, and it's called Flood of 2010. Rain came pouring down for days, the kind we'd never seen, like from the book of Genesis, swelling all the streams. Stones River and the Caney Fork were rising by the hour, water so much mightier than any human power. And up and down the Cumberland they'll say, remember when, and then they'll tell the stories of the flood of 2010. Creeping up on Lower Broad through honky-tonks and bars, 40 feet above the banks, right up to groom guitars. Shutting down the Opry House, they had to move the show up to the War Memorial, it's home from long ago. And up and down the Cumberland they'll say, remember when, and then they'll tell the stories of the flood of 2010. Harpeth rushed into the homes like some old evil curse. So many left with nothing but what their hands could hold, while everything they left behind was lost to mud and mold. And up and down the Cumberland they'll say, remember when, and then they'll tell the stories of the flood of 2010. But from everywhere the people came and helped each other out, and that we still can stand as one was proved beyond a doubt. The spirit of the city rose up to guide our way, Nashville's brightest moment born from its darkest day. And up and down the Cumberland they'll say, remember when, and then they'll tell the stories of the flood of 2010. Yeah, up and down the Cumberland they'll say, remember when, and then they'll tell the stories of the flood of 2010. Flood of 2010. That's how it happened. I'm all the way up to Groon Guitars, and that was scary. I think that gave old George Groon the rest, and he decided to move somewhere else, which he did. He moved to 8th Avenue, which makes 8th Avenue the most dangerous place in Nashville for me, because there's Groon Guitars, then half a mile down the road there's Carter Vintage. There's also Rumble Seat Guitars and the Great North American Guitar a little off to the right. So I can't really go to 8th Avenue because I end up spending a ton of money there, which I don't have. But I'm not saying I'm poor. I just I'm at the stage of guitar ownership where I can bring one in the house and bring it out after a couple of weeks, and my wife goes, "I've never seen this one," and I go like, "Really? Haven't seen that one yet? I've had this for quite a while." So that's the trick, folks. If you want to have a lot of guitars and not get any grief over it, you just need more. So anyway, here's a new one, brand new, never played it out, so watch me follow my nose. This is one that I wrote with my friend Mike Compton, who's a wonderful mandolin player, great singer, great writer too. He played in the Nashville Bluegrass Band. Most folks know him because he's the mandolin player. He played the mandolin part on Man of Constant Sorrow in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Anyway, he's one of my favorite musicians in the world. And I wrote the song with him not long ago, maybe December 2020. And it's another train/river song. It's called River or a Train. I'd roll along and take my time. Folks would watch me passing by, come sunshine or come rain, if I was a river or a train. Always running on the go, moving fast or moving slow, I'd have no reason to complain. If I was a river or a train, I'd carry dreams and people too, 'cause that's what trains and rivers do. And everyone would know my name if I was a river or a train. There'd be no way to hold me back through the gorge or down the track. To me it'd be the same if I was a river or a train. I'm not made to hang around, I was made for gaining ground. was a river or a train, I'd carry dreams and people too, 'cause that's what dreams and rivers do. And everyone would know my name if I was a river or a train. And I'd keep running on and on. You'd wake up and I'd be gone. You'd have no one to blame if I was a river or a train. I'd carry dreams and people too, 'cause that's what trains and rivers do. And everyone would know my name if I was a river or a train. If I was a river or a train. If I was a river or a train. There you go. Another song about a train and also about a river. Transportation is an important thing. I like to think about that sometimes. American history is sort of a history of transportation, inventing how to get from point A to point B. The guy in this next song, he liked to get from point A to point B, and he liked to go on steamboats. His name was John Hartford. He's one of my musical heroes. He had a lifelong fascination with steamboats. He actually had a steamboat license. He was a steamboat pilot license. And he built a house on the Cumberland River in Nashville so he could watch all the boats go by. He built a little observation turret, tower, whatever, on top of the house, and he had a CB radio, and he would talk to the riverboat captains. And they, over the course of time, knew that he was up there looking down on them, and they would always blow their whistle when they came around that curve in the Cumberland River, that bend. And after he had passed away, that curve was officially renamed Hartford's Bend. I read about that one day, and I thought it was a beautiful thing, and I wanted to turn it into a song, but I didn't know Hartford. But my co-writing partner, John Hadley, was good friends with him. They worked together on the Smothers Brothers TV show in California in the 60s. So I got with Hadley, and Hadley has a chair in his writing room it's an old-fashioned chair, and he carved John Hartford's chair into it because he got it from John's estate after John passed away. And there's a big, beautiful black and white photo of Hartford in that room too, and so it felt good to write that song in that space and with John, who was John Hartford's good friend. So this is called Hartford's Bend. They're still blowing their whistles on the Cumberland River when they're coming around Hartford's Bend. It's a tip of the cap to the man with a hat, every riverboat captain's friend, with his fiddle and bow, his old banjo, his tap dancing shoes keeping time, the sweet refrain of Julia Bell swaying ever gently on my mind. He said nothing is real but the river, and nothing's true but a song. And they're still blowing their whistles on the Cumberland River when they're coming around Hartford's Bend. It's a tip of the cap to the man with a hat, every riverboat captain's friend. years drifting by, like boats in the night, and I think about you, old friend, 'cause I miss you so. And I hope that you know I wish we had our time again. So roll on into the sunset, somewhere beyond the sea. They're still blowing their whistles on the Cumberland River when they're coming around Hartford's Bend. It's the tip of the cap to the man with a hat, every riverboat captain's friend. Just the tip of the cap to the man with a hat, every riverboat captain's friend. For John Hartford and for John Hadley, who's in Oklahoma City at the moment, and or has been there for the last year. I know he's missing coming to Nashville and writing, and I miss him too. All right, that last song, Hartford's Bend, is on my, not on my newest record, but on one called To Live in Two Worlds, Volume 1, that came out in May 2020. Perfect timing to release a record at the when a worldwide pandemic breaks out. And then to top that, we released another one in September, To Live in Two Worlds Volume 2. And you can get those at my website if you want to, through my website if you want to. And this next song here is on Volume 1. It's called Where the Bluebirds Call, and it's about a fellow called Cecil Sharp, who was from England and who came to Appalachia in 1916 and 1918 to collect folk songs, British songs that he knew people in England had sung for a long time but had forgotten them, but he knew that people in Appalachia were still singing them. So he went through East Kentucky, East Tennessee, Southwestern Virginia, Western North Carolina, and collected over 1,200 songs. Not 1,200 different songs, but I think it was about 500 different songs and then different versions of those songs. And that was pretty tough to do in those days because that was territory where you couldn't necessarily take a car or anything, so a lot of it was done on foot, some was done on horseback, a mule-drawn cart, whatever. But anyway, this is a song that I wrote about Cecil Sharp. I wrote this with my good friend Tim Stafford, who's a wonderful writer and a great guitar player. He's played in the bluegrass band Blue Highway for the last 200 years. No, 28 years, I'm sorry. Anyway, he's a great guy. I love Tim, and I love writing with him. We've been writing once a week since the pandemic started, so we got us a nice little catalog going here over this whole thing. This is called Where the Bluebirds Call. Searching for a song up in those mountains, looking for a ballad in the hills. Sometimes it felt as if the old tunes found him. Though far away, the music haunts him still. And England is a cold place in October, but Virginia is so pretty in the fall. He tells himself if he could do it over, he'd end his place where the bluebirds call. There's no place else so pleasant in his memory, like a melody and story it entwines. Hour after hour spent in reverie, listening on the front porch in the pines. England is a cold place in October, but Virginia is so pretty in the fall. He tells himself if he could do it over, he'd end his days where the bluebirds call. And Maria sang of Barbara Allen, and sweet William in his long and narrow grave. The rosebud and the briar together swelling, and the girl who died for the love she gave. England is a cold place in October, but Virginia is so pretty in the fall. He tells himself if he could do it over, he'd end his days where the bluebirds call. That's Where the Bluebirds Call for Cecil Sharp. Important guy. And anyway, I'll do one more and then I'll take a quick break if that's okay. And Ramona wants to talk to me a little bit. That's great because I want to talk to her too because I like her. Her and Jack Murray came down here a couple years ago to make a record for Jack, and it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And we did it quick and all live. And it takes a good dude like Jack to pull that off. And he did. Anyway, I'll leave you with this one for now. This is also on volume 1. It's called Yesterday and Tomorrow, written with Tammy Rogers. There's a whole lot of choices that a man can make. Lie, beg, steal, or borrow. But the only 2 days that you never can change are yesterday and tomorrow. I used to worry about what I did and didn't do, pacing the floor, moaning the blues, wondering what the future had in store. But all it did was leave me blue. Now, brother, I don't know about you, but I don't do that anymore. 'Cause there's a whole lot of choices that a man can make. Lie, beg, steal, and borrow. But the only 2 days that you never can change are yesterday and tomorrow. There's so much stuff I didn't like about me, but I ain't the man that I used to be. I knew I had to take a different route, and I don't know what took me so long, 'cause at the end of the day there's a right and a wrong, but I think I finally got it figured out. 'Cause there's a whole lot of choices that a man can make. He can lie and steal or borrow, but the only 2 days that you never can change are yesterday and tomorrow. So brother, go and seize the day, 'cause life's too short and worry don't pay. Remember what the wise ones always say. There's a whole lot of choices that a man can make. He can But the only 2 days that you never can change are yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah, the only 2 days that you never can change are yesterday and tomorrow. There you go. Let me grab my headphones. Here, Ramona clapping. Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you. That was a fabulous set.
Well, thanks.
So you have done a lot of writing, it looks like, with Tammy Rogers.
A whole lot. For about 5 years now,
Oh, great.
we get together typically on a Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock and write a song. So
Cool.
we have a lot
And
of them.
she's on these your two latest releases. I
She-
think it's remarkable that you released two during a pandemic year. Some people are working on recordings and so forth, but this is remarkable. And Tammy's all over them.
Yes, she is. We recorded 8 songs on those 2 records that Tammy and I co-wrote. And she
Great.
sings on a lot of it, and she plays fiddle on all of it because
Great.
she's a fabulous fiddle player.
Well, they're wonderful. They've been in regular rotation up here
Oh.
at our place. Yeah, you bet.
Nice.
I notice, so both the albums have both acoustic and bluegrass band recordings.
They did.
And that was not the original plan, as I understand it.
No, I wanted to make 2 different records. I wanted to make a bluegrass record with a full bluegrass band, and then I wanted to make a solo record. And I did that, and then once we were done with that, we felt like the songs sort of belonged together and fit together in pairs. And so we took a band song and paired it with a solo song that thematically belongs
Oh, okay.
to it.
Sure.
So worked out pretty good, and I think the solo thing was something I wanted to do for a long time because it scared me, and I figured I really had to do it to get that out of my system. And
Well-
it's solo in the sense that I'm sitting in. It was recorded with one microphone, and playing and singing at the same time, so you can't really fix anything. If you mess up, you have to start again. And so it was pretty nerve-wracking at the beginning, but then once I found a groove and accepted that the trick is if you're fighting your instrument, you're never going to get it done. You have to accept that it's going to be imperfect, and that's probably what
Yes.
scared me, to show that. So
Well, there are two beautiful, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I notice you write a lot of story songs, and you've paid tribute to particular artists of days gone by. Evening Prayer Blues jumped out at me. That seems to be a nod to Delford. What's his name?
Deford
Deford Bailey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of songwriters tend to write from a very personal and introspective place, and that's fine and great. And a lot of people write great music that way, but I figured a while ago, or a long time ago actually, that I'd rather write about things of the outer world, not so much my inner world. And I like writing about people from history because I like history. I'm interested in it. I like old music, and I want to understand how those people, what their thought processes were, and why they did what they did, and what their circumstances were in life that they wanted to get out of, and that they wanted to change, and all that is so intricately interwoven with American history that it's just what makes me focused and keeps me interested, and that's what I want to write about for the most part.
Well, you do a fantastic job. I also really like the song "I Long to Hear Them Testify," where you have Skip James and Blind Willie McTell and Charlie Poole all covered in
Absolutely.
that one. So,
Yes, I'll play
Really,
that here in a minute.
and you've mentioned a couple of artists who are Godfrey Daniels veterans. Mike Compton comes through here with Joe Newberry
Oh,
as
great.
the duo,
Mhm.
and of course John Hartford danced on our stage a few times
man.
back in the day. So that was
I
really
would have loved to see that. Yeah. Well, imagine there was a time in 1925 when you could have gone and heard Charlie Poole, Skip James, and Blind Willie McTell, depending on what town you were in or what
Sure.
city you were in. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really something. So, okay. Well, I've got let's see, we should hit some of these comments. Somebody's complimenting your guitars. Connie Reeves.
Oh, hey, neighbor.
And let's see, I can't see all of these, but I've got a pedal steel
Hey,
player in here.
Connie, I actually hadn't met Connie in over probably 2 years, and then I met her last week at the West Wilson County Hospital as we were both getting our second vaccine shot.
Oh my goodness.
And I
Wow.
was introduced to her husband, and I was sick as a dog the next day.
Oh
But
dear.
I'll take the shot anytime.
Yes, yes. Yeah. We did ours this morning. So, and
Oh
we're
wow.
here. Yep, we're here.
Well, let's see how you're going to do tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning. That's true. So, okay. Well, I can hardly wait to get back to more of your music. We have just a little sponsor break here.
Sure.
Just would like to remind everyone about Godfrey Daniels' media partner, the Lehigh Valley's NPR radio station WDIY 88.1 FM. In addition to news and public affairs, WDIY is also home to an eclectic mix of music programs, including classical, folk, jazz, blues, indie rock, world music, bluegrass, and more. Nearly 100 programmers bring you the news and music all day, every day. Please give your support to WDIY and help them keep it all coming to us over the airwaves and the internet. Be sure to tune in to WDIY each Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. for Live from Godfrey Daniels, featuring select radio cuts from live concert recordings performed on Godfrey stage. These recordings span the decades, that's 4.5 decades, from Godfrey's early years right up through early 2020. Anybody remember early 2020? Curated and hosted by our own Dave Fry. Thank you, folks. And now back to Thomm Jutz.
It's so nice to be here, and I just talked to my wife Eva this morning when you and Jack came down. Jack dropped off some beer for Kevin Gordon on our porch, and also boxes and boxes of pretzels. And my wife didn't know where this stuff came from, and she texted me and said something about death by pretzels. It's hilarious. But they were really good pretzels. We were working on those for quite a while. We had a lot of them. That was a very generous pretzel gift you guys gave us there. And having been born in Germany, we know a good pretzel when we taste one. And those were great. All right, here's the one that we just talked about. I long to hear him testify. Way downtown Atlanta, where the streetcars run, early in the evening, before the day's done. If I was in Georgia, boys, I'd tell you where I'd go. I'd hear Blind Willie singing, Mama, turn your lamp down low. And if I was in Mississippi, around Antonia town, I'd go from door to door, looking for that sound, that hard time killing flow in a minor key. Skip James singing the blues, tuned to open D. One foot in a world that's gone, and one foot here today. What I wouldn't give to hear them sing and play, long ago and far away, and yet they're still alive. But I long to hear them testify. 1925. If I was a traveler up Carolina way, 90 years ago, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd hear Charlie and his Ramblers playing some old shack, and maybe I would stick around and never make it back. One foot in a world play. Long ago and far away, yet they're still alive. But I long to hear them testify. 1925. I'm thinking about a freight train along in southern bend, rails ringing in my head. Don't let your deal go down. Strange times in the country, boys, and I'm stuck here in between 1925 and 2019. One foot in the world that's gone and one foot here today. What I wouldn't give to hear them sing and play. Long ago and far away, yet they're still alive. But I long to hear them testify. 1925. Yeah, I long to hear him testify in 1925. All right, there's that. All right, let's play something different. Different guitar. Wrote this with my buddy Trey Hensley, who's truly, truly one of the greatest guitar players in the world. I don't even feel like playing the guitar when I'm around that man. But he came over one day to write a song, and I had this title, Nashville in the Morning, that I really liked. And I suggested it to Trey, and we wrote it. And I wanted to play it today because last night I was watching the really, really brilliant documentary called Without Getting Killed or Caught about Guy Clark and his wife Susanna. Tamara Saviano directed that and made it with her husband, and it's really a masterpiece. If you're into roots music and singer-songwriter music and Texas singer-songwriter music, you really should watch it. Without Getting Killed or Caught, it's truly enlightening. And I was watching it and I thought about, I have a pretty close connection to that whole scene through my friend Richard Dobson, who passed away 3 years ago, who was part of that crew of Texas songwriters that moved to Nashville in the early 70s. And he was one of my very best friends and a mentor of mine, and without whom I probably never would have ended up in Nashville. So I owe a debt to him that I will never be able to repay. And when I was watching that last night, there was obviously a lot of footage of Nashville in the 70s, and so much has changed in the last 20 years that I've lived here. My wife and I drove to Nashville last Sunday, and it's unrecognizable sometimes if you haven't been for a couple of weeks. There's another hotel, another high-rise, another this, another that, and Music Row hardly looks like Music Row anymore. But somehow there's still something about Nashville that makes you want to be here when you're in the music business, and that all that made me think about the song that I had written with Trey last year, and so I'm going to try to play this for you here. And again, I haven't played this out, so we'll see how this goes. Nashville in the morning, still beautiful to me, 'cause the cranes and the high rises, that ain't what I see. I see a boy with a guitar who lives inside a dream. Nashville in the morning, Nashville in the morning, city is still sleeping and the bridesmaids disappear. Someone's working on a song no one will ever hear. Nashville in the morning, it's all different now, hell, but I don't care. When I close my eyes, it's all still there. So much lost, gone without a warning. But I got Nashville, Nashville in the morning. Nashville in the morning, new strings on an old guitar. I'm thinking about some old friends and I wonder where they are. I grab a cup of coffee and I get back in the car. Nashville in the morning, Nashville in the morning, makes me feel right. I walk an empty alley, but I don't feel alone. I'm happy in the company of all that's long gone on. Nashville in the morning, it's all different now, but I don't care. When I close my eyes, it's all still there. So much lost and gone without a warning. But I got Nashville, Nashville in the morning. Anyway, this one is for my hometown, Nashville, my adopted hometown, Nashville. I love being here. And anyway, here's a love song for my wife because I really do love her. Well, yeah, we've been sticking around with each other for going on 37 years. 37 years. It's pretty good, isn't it? Started out when she was 14 and I was 15, and we still can't get enough of each other. So, oh well, at least I can't get enough of her. I don't know if she feels the same way. Anyway, this is one that I wrote with a buddy called John Mayer. He's a wonderful young musician and songwriter here in Nashville. And not John Mayer, not that one, John Mayer. He's a good dude. Anyway, I had this melody for a while and I played it for Tammy and I said, does that sound like something? And she said, it sounds like Lost Indian to me, which is a fiddle tune. And then I played it for somebody else and said, does that sound like something? And that person said, well, it sounds like Blackjack Davy. I was like, geez, I can't get a break with this thing. And I played it for John, and he said, no, man, I think that sounds fine. We should write it. So that's why I like John Mayer, and that's why I like this. I love this. It's one of my favorite songs. If I only had one song to tell you what I do. If I only had one song, I'd sing this song for you, dear. I'd sing this song for you. And if I only had one thought, I would think it through. If I only had one thought, I would think of you, dear. I would think of you. And if I only had one look before this world slipped from my view, before I take my final rest, I'd rest my eyes on you, dear. I'd rest my eyes on you. who gave her heart to me, the one whose love is true, the one whose love is true. And if I only had one song, one thought, and one look too, I'd give it all straight from the heart. I'd give it all to you, dear. I'd give it all to you. All right. I hope she liked it. Here's another one. This one is one of my favorite songwriters is a guy called Jefferson Ross. He's from Georgia. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He spent many, many years in Nashville writing songs, and he got his first gig when he was 18 years old playing bass for Jimmy Swaggart and got fired for drinking a bottle of wine. I'd say that's pretty good decision on old Jimmy's behalf to fire somebody for drinking a bottle of wine. But Jefferson is just an incredible writer, great cook, great guy to drink a beer with, and extremely well read. And we're both big fans of an artist called Howard Finster. Howard Finster was from Summersville, Georgia, and he was a Baptist preacher for most of his life and a bicycle repairman. And after he retired, when he was planning to retire, he had a vision, and God told him to start painting. And Howard had never painted before, but he was a man who believed in his visions, and so he took up painting. And he painted thousands upon thousands of paintings, and painted on stuff that he found, painted on plywood and cars and anything that he could get his hands on. And he built this whole this complex called Paradise Gardens. It's a 2.5 acre complex where he's from in Georgia. You can go visit, and you should go visit soon because it's out in the open. So all this stuff that he painted is going to go away over time. And it's just one of the most magnificent places, and his art is highly sought after now, and pretty expensive actually, or very expensive. And at the time when he was making it, it was worth nothing, but it meant a lot. It was worth a lot to him because he followed his faith when he started painting these things. So this is a song again that I haven't played out yet. I don't know why. After a year of not playing any gigs, I feel compelled to play all these new songs, but sometimes I get tired of my old stuff, and I just want to play new songs. And this is one that's really dear to me that I wrote, like I said, with Jefferson. It's called "Hymn for Howard Finster." He was working on a bicycle, just patching up a tire, when the Spirit came upon him like a breath of holy fire. He dropped what he was doing and followed God's command. From that day on, he spent his life with a paintbrush in his hand. And he heard a voice speak to him, and Howard, he did listen. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Howard had a vision. He'd squeeze out some acrylic and painted all God's creatures. He covered his whole Cadillac in handwritten scriptures. He built a kingdom out of trash, a little every day, to show the world that God would not throw anyone away. And he heard a voice speak to him, and Howard, he did listen. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Howard had a vision. million plywood angels, parables as well as covers for the talking heads, a pure and simple soul. He preached to Johnny Carson on the Johnny Carson show, and he heard a voice speak to him, and Howard he did listen. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Howard had a vision. And the world thought he was crazy, but to him it all made sense. The prideful are the foolish, not the poor man who repents. And he heard a voice speak to him, and Howard he did listen. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Howard had a vision. He was working on a bicycle, just patching up a tire, when the Spirit came upon him like a breath of holy fire. Hymn for Howard Finster. Check him out. You'll like him. Actually, in this song I talk about Howard Finster on the Johnny Carson show, and you can go watch that. It's hilarious and really deep at the same time. He was a funny man. He sings a little bit on in that show too, and something else. He was convinced that he was from outer space. And if you watch that Johnny Carson show, I'm sure you'll be convinced too that he was from outer space. All right. Lots of people, obviously, terribly high number of people passed away from this COVID thing. And last April, one of them was the great John Prine. And man, it was not a good call to get or thing to see online that he had passed away. I had the good fortune of knowing him a little bit. I didn't know him well, but I knew him a little bit. And Peter Cooper and I made a record with Mac Wiseman, the great one of the great founding fathers of bluegrass music. We made a record with him in 2016, and it was sort of like his biography in songs. And Mac was already 91, 92 years old at that time, and he couldn't get around too well and couldn't get into a recording studio so easily. So we suggested that we get other people to sing these songs. And Peter and Mac and myself, we had written all those songs based on stories that Mac had told many times. And so one of the people that we contacted to sing one of those songs was John Prine. And John was good friends with Mac. They had made a record together some years ago. And so John, being the kind and nice person that he was, agreed to sing this song for his old friend John Prine. And actually we have a little video of John going over to Mac's house and talking to him about the song and how much he liked that song and how much he liked Mac. And that's a priceless remembrance to have, and I'm so glad that I knew Mac. He passed away 2 years ago at the age of 93, and I'm so fortunate and grateful that John Prine came and sang this song. And if you're a John Prine fan, you can imagine what it means to a songwriter like myself to have John sing your song. This is called I Sang the Song. I could hear the highway call long before the road ran through. Dreams are free and not much else is. But what else can a poor boy do? Cali France, the cliffs of Dover. Name a city, I've been there. Women laugh and babies cry. Sound the same most anywhere. Baptized in the old South River. 3 times forward I've been blessed. just another young hillbilly. Who would have thought, who could have guessed? Gordon Lightfoot, A.P. Carter, Mother Mabel, June, and John. It ain't bragging if you've done it. Name the tune, I sang the song. And now I'm old, no way to hide. Wouldn't care to truth be told. Once a man and twice a child, but I've got a hand to hold. And I could hear the highway call long before the road ran through. Dreams are free and not much else is. But what else can a poor boy do? Dreams are free and nothing else is. But what else can goes out to Mac and to John Prine. I think I speak for all of us that we all miss John Prine. Well, let's play one more here. Another new one that I don't think I played out yet, but I thought it might be a good one to play here as a little send-off, because I wrote it last year in March, right after we came back from a glorious tour of Ireland that got canceled in its entirety right the day we got there, really. Eric Brayson and myself, we had about 10 days of shows lined up, and everybody was still like kind of skeptical that this pandemic thing was going to amount to much. But once we got there and we're about to play our first show, that in that very town where our first show was, the first case of the virus broke out that day, or was discovered that day. And so that day got canceled, the second day got canceled, and then we kind of smelled the bacon and went like, well, we might want to change our tickets and get home here. And we managed to do that, and we kind of got into O'Hare about 8 hours before everything closed down, and this whole thing kind of did what it was going to do. But at least we got 5 really beautiful vacation days in Ireland, in West Cork, in a town called Roscarbery, and it's the end of a scenic route called the Wild Atlantic Way that runs from Donegal to Cork, to West Cork. And we had just a glorious time there, and the weather was beautiful, and Eric's wife was with us, and my wife was with us, and it was just beautiful. And looking back, I don't know if I feel like I did pretty well over this pandemic. I didn't have too many freakouts in terms of what I can't do or this or that, but I think it had largely to do with the fact that I had a 5-day vacation in a beautiful spot before this whole thing happened. And anyway, I was this scenic route, the Wild Atlantic Way, is that's just such a beautiful sounding phrase, or a couple of beautiful sounding words, and they stuck with me, and I wanted to write a song based on that. So I ran that by Tim Stafford, and we wrote this really simple song about missing Ireland, which I do miss. I've been going to Ireland since I was 18 years old, and played there a lot with a bunch of different people. And whenever I'm not there for a year or two, I miss it terribly, and I look forward to going back. And I I'll leave you with this song here, and thank you so much for listening to me and for spending some time here tonight. And if you want to sing along, you can. In Ireland, people would sing along. And this is called The Wild Atlantic Way. Thanks so much. Thanks to Ramona, and I hope to see you all in person at Godfrey Daniels very soon. I'll walk the cliffs at the breaking of the day, hear the seabirds calling through the way. I will turn my face against the wind and see my old friends once again. By the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild Atlantic way. Pint at Nolan's with the girls and with the boys, while the fire sings a joyful note. Stroll slowly down the narrow lane, soaking in the gentle west quarter rain. By the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild Atlantic way. Forget the blue against the green. It's the finest sight my eyes have ever seen. And the tales and tunes will all remain, like the sun that's sinking in the bay. By the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild Atlantic way. Sing along. By the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild, by the wild Atlantic way. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. See you soon. I don't think I can hear you, Ramona, right now.
Here we go.
That's better.
Gratitude. I was saying thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
It's just thank you for sharing your gifts with us here, and it's always a treat when the writer brings a new song to the audience, and you did that more than once tonight. We really enjoyed that. Enjoyed your railroad songs and some good stories, and really would like to thank you too for introducing us to some cool folks. Howard Fenster. So, and thank you for your kind words about Jack and myself. We had a great time on that visit to Nashville. And it's a gift also to have your fingerprints on that recording. So thank you. And we'll get you on the calendar here. We are hoping to be able to reopen safely here at Godfrey's for the 2021-2022 season. And certainly we would love it if you could come up here and play some music on our stage, tell some of your stories, and visit the Martin Museum.
Definitely.
And Jack's here in the house. He says to tell you hello.
Hey, Jack.
And we really enjoyed it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for having me.
This was so comfortable.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All right, that wraps up another session. And we will see you all in a few weeks. Next week, we have Susan Werner for our members only concert. And you can still join as a member and get the link. We'll be sending that link out to all our members early this week. Thanks for being here, folks. Good night.